This is the resumed meeting of the Board of NHS England. We turn now to item 6 on the agenda, which is the reports from the committees. Is that right? Yes. Yes, good, it is. And I think it's the Audit Committee to start.
Yeah, I've taken the paper as read. There's 4 points I will draw out, though. One is the extensive work that is ongoing on legacy balances, which has caused something of a difficulty for NHS England and which may put in jeopardy some of the timetabling for the completion of the accounts for the year end. But the amount of time we've had to spend on that is disappointing, given that it was recognised as an issue, but largely not of our initiation. Secondly, the governance statement, which we are starting to draft, will, and I think it's important for the board to understand this, will recognise that this is our first year of operation, and therefore will reflect that we don't have all of the full mature systems and controls that one might expect of an organisation that have been in place, and so we'll have to pay particular attention to the wording of that governance statement as we approach the year end, which David will be responsible for. The third thing is the report we took from NHS Protect, Malcolm, on economic crime, I have to say alarmed us because of the scale of estimates that they were using, and I do think that it's something to which the Audit Committee and the Board will return, because the level of economic crime creates divergent of funds from frontline healthcare, and we have to look at how we limit the amount of economic crime that the NHS Protect people are suggesting exists in the system. And the fourth point is the report of the work that I've been doing with DH and HSCIC on governance around technology. Should be due out over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we should return to that in the new year, but a series of supportive recommendations for governance. I don't have anything else to report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions to Ed? No? In which case, thanks. Let's move on. Paul, on efficiency controls.
I think you might have heard enough of my voice for one day already, and there is nothing very exciting to report on this. The facts are in the report, but open to questions, of course.
I'll take that as no questions, thank you. Moira, Finance and Investment.
Very briefly, Malcolm, just to draw the Board's attention to 4.1 National Tariff, which will actually be published, the consultation having ended, but published 2 months earlier than last year, which I think will be helpful given all the work we're expecting people to have to do in making changes.
And that's to be published today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And you also have Commission support.
I don't think there's anything I want to add other than to say there will be a major paper at the next board meeting in January on consulting on the future of CSUs.
Right, thank you. I'll report briefly then on directly commissioned services. I think this is still an exceptionally challenging area for us. We've seen also earlier this morning in the allocations the way in which we're handling the increases in expenditure on specialised services. And there is going to be a need for, I think, quite an amount of risk management and mitigation over the coming year in order to bring specialised services back into an affordable envelope. But we spent quite an amount of time at our meeting on the 12th of November thinking through what were the variables that were causing the increase in expenditure, which of them it was possible for us readily enough to get a grip on, and which of them were going to be, we thought, more resistant to reform. So I would invite Barbara, if she wished to add anything further to that, but simply to comment that we will be bringing this back to a future meeting of the board for substantive discussion.
Absolutely. I mean, the committee looked at a broad range of issues because there are some very significant issues under its auspices, including primary care support services, which we have talked about and we will be talking about again at the next meeting. But there's no doubt that the issues we have with specialised services are really it's considerable, and we shouldn't underestimate the difficulties. But nor should we underestimate, I think, the potential we have to kind of have consistent, high-quality services across the whole country, which is something that we've never been able to do before. But it will be a challenge, and we'll continue to bring assurances back.
Yes, and we shouldn't underestimate the sheer scale of change that has been on specialised services, and well, going back to where we started, I hope a very significant improvement of quality and safety of services to patients.
And we're enormously supported by our Clinical Priorities Advisory Group, who on behalf of patients and the public actually look at all the range of things that we do and advise us what works best for patients and what we should be changing.
Yeah, just a couple of things really to relate it back to our discussion about the planning guidance, because this is a big issue in relation to this. And the 2 or 3 things I say. The first thing is about specialised commissioning is that we've spent the last year, particularly I think, thinking about the way in which specialised services are differentially available to people across the country, and we've invested quite a lot of time and effort to bring that together, and I think we'll be able to show by the end of the year some really impressive results about bringing high quality to a broader group of the population. Secondly, we've had this massive process going on around setting clinical standards for specialised services, and as board members will know, we have a system of, in a sense, derogations that we've agreed across the country, where organisations as yet are not able to hit the really impressive standards that we've identified. I think the link I'd make with the planning guidance is that some of those organisations never will be able to, and so that is part of the argument around reducing the number of specialised service organisations that we have, to both improve quality and outcomes and make sure we can hit those clinical standards.
Good. Okay, thanks. That's business in hand, and we will be coming back to it. Right, that concludes item 8, which is the board committee feedback.